Hi, how you doing? I'm Tim Carter, and you are watching the Ask the Builder live stream. I'm glad you're here, and it's going to be, I think, a pretty good live stream today. I've got kind of an interesting topic to talk about. Going to give an update on the chocolate bet. Jimmy wants to know, and I've got a few other things to share as well too. It's had a record day yesterday here at the Ask the Builder headquarters. Very quickly, before we get to the why when our lumber price is going to go down, I'm going to talk about that in just a second. I also, I'm a master plumber. I've been one since gosh, a long time, 1981. And one of the things I do is I draw plumbing isometric or plumbing riser diagrams so people can get a permit. And yesterday I had I had a record day. I had 3 orders. Never had 3 orders in the same day, and, record day. So I would love to do 3 a day every day, if I could. I'm working on it, trying to build that business just because it's so much fun to do. I love making those drawings. Steve, how you doing? How you doing? You're here early. It's amazing. Great. Uh, by the way, Steve, you're the inspiration for today's topic. Oh. That's just Okay, we'll do the chocolate first. So if you're here because you want to hear about the lumber prices, we're going to get to that in just a few seconds because I'll make this as short as possible because I really want to minimize the pain. Uh, Earlier today, I don't know, about 3 hours ago, I received an email from UPS that the chocolate pecandis were on the porch, but they weren't on my porch. They were on Alex's porch. So I sent a quick text to Alex, said, "Hey, get those pecandis off the porch before the pirates get them." And Alex dropped what he was doing, proceeded to make 2 fantastic videos. I would never share them because it's private, it's his. And the first one was the unboxing of the pecandis. And he stabbed me. He got his dagger out and he stabbed me in the heart because he noticed on the box where they came from, Aglamisi's. They have a beautiful box. It's gold foil, and in the lower right corner it says where they're located, Cincinnati, Ohio. And on the video, Alex said, "Oh, from Cincinnati, Ohio, home of the second best team in football." Ouch. Louise, how you doing? The second video that was taped just moments later, Alex was out on the street rubbing in the wonderful warm Los Angeles weather and all the palm trees. I mean, it's just so crazy for me to see palm trees in the winter. And he proceeds to take a bite out of one of the pecandis, and he loved it. He said he ate 3 of them. I hope not. That's a lot of pecandis. So anyway, so Alex got his pecandis. So Jimmy, there's your update, buddy. Um, uh, just like in the Game of Thrones, one of the famous lines in the book is this bad family, the Lannisters. One of the lines is the Lannisters always pay their debts. So by gosh, I'm not a welcher. So I hope you enjoy those pecandis, Alex, and I hope you save some for your girlfriend. Oh my gosh. All right. So anyway, so Alex won the bet. The Rams won 23-20. It was a great defensive struggle. The Super Bowl game could have gone either way. The Bengals just, well, it just, there were 2 or 3 plays where that could have made all the difference. But that's the way the game of football is, and really, it's the way a lot of games are: baseball, soccer, hockey. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't take much for the game to go either way. I mean, sometimes it's a blowout. Sometimes, the score might be 42-7. I mean, oh well. But these two teams were really evenly matched. It was a good game to watch. Here we go. Alex says they were absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. Love them and get them out of my house. You can give them away. You can give them away. Go give them to a friend. But here's Alex, I want you to now what I'm really curious about is, I mean, where all of just understand that that came from a specialty candy store. If you walk into Aglomisi's on your left-hand side, there's just a case that's, I don't know, 16, 20 feet long, filled with all these different candies they make. Pecandies, chocolate covered cherries, um, oh, I don't know, just opera creams. My aunt Clara loved their opera creams. I have to believe there are candy stores like this in Los Angeles. So that's what I'm curious about. As you travel about, or now that you see these, have you start to think what stores in Los Angeles might have them? I can tell you this: if there aren't any stores that have them, you want to make $1 million or $2, start figuring out how to open up a candy store like that. I'm telling you right now, all those Hollywood people out there, they would go bonkers for them, bonkers. So, and if you might get requests on your flippin' contact form to build a flippin' candy factory. Who knows? Okay, let's talk about lumber right now. So earlier today, well, first of all, here's was the inspiration. Steve was the inspiration in the UK yesterday. Steve's here right now. Steve asked me, somehow we got on the subject yesterday about the cost of lumber in Britain and London versus the United States. And he asked me to go to this British website, which I did. And it was DIY.com, but I forget, Steve, what the name of the company is, like QH or something. It must be some big DIY regional or national store in Britain that's similar to our Home Depot. Anyway, I'm trying to find the one piece of paper, and it doesn't matter. I went. This was the first thing that hit me when I went to the page. If you're watching this and you're from America, you're going to know instantly why we will never go to the metric system. So I go to this website, DIY.com, and I finally, and they call it, oh, what do they call it? I'm going to say they call it, it's the strangest name. I know I'm going to get this wrong. Constructional timber, I think. Constructional. No, it might, I don't know. I'm not going to look it up. It's a really, anyway, I zero in on where the lumber might be. And I'm just talking about regular wall studs. So I finally found them, but I had to do the math in my head. And so we just go like Alex would say, yeah, B&Q. That's it. B&Q. Alex would say to one of his helpers, hey, go get us 100 2x4s or 2x4x8s. That's all he would say, 2x4x8s. So in London, they have to say, I'm gonna mess this up. I know I'm gonna mess this up. Okay, go get us some 35 millimeter by by 87 millimeter by 2.4 meter pieces of wood, because that's what it shows on the website. It's like, oh my God, it's just 2x4x8. So we're not going to go metric here. No flipping way, man. Oh my gosh. All right. So here's what I found out. They had a SKU where you could buy 6 2x4x8s. That's what we call them here in America. And you could buy them for British pound. I think it was 42.67 British pounds. And so I think I got this right, Steve. Right now, the pound is stronger than the dollar, I think. I'm not good at this because that's the problem with us Americans. We're so flippin' snotty. We don't care about what other stuff is in the other parts of the world, because right now you have to spend $1.35 US to get a dollar, a 1 pound. £1 in Britain. So I did the math, and it turns out that in US dollars, one 2x4x8 in London is about $10. And then here in America right now at Home Depot, and I'm not saying they're the best price, I just did that quickly. They're going to be pretty close. It's a little under $7. So a 2x4x8 right now in London is, all things being equal, it's what, 40% higher about. So that's tough. I mean, I can't even imagine paying $10 for a 2x4. I just can't. Back in the day, I would pay $1.40 for a 2x4. Yeah, I know all us old timers, blah blah blah. What do you call me? A silver top? Uh, we called one Wix as well. Yeah, Wix. Well, Wix used to be here in America. I don't know. I think they got swallowed up by somebody, maybe Lowe's or Home Depot, or they went bankrupt. So that was the start of today's topic. And here's what happened. So then, I don't know, 4 hours ago, lunchtime here, Kathy sends me a link. She chats me up during the day. She's way down in the basement. I'm up here in the man cave, probably about as far away as I can get from her, or she can get from me. I think that's really what it is. She can get from me. And I'm up above the garage, and it's kind of a nice place to be. I've got a beautiful view to the south, out to the woods. So I've got a pretty good view. I don't look out to the lake like she does, but I could change that if I blew out and put a big dormer in right here, but I'm not going to do it. She sent me this story, and it's from, of all places. So I cannot, here's the thing. I'm going to put this disclaimer right away. I cannot verify or vouch for the accuracy of what I'm going to tell you, because I've lost faith in all media. All right. I just don't believe they tell the truth for whatever reasons. It doesn't matter. So here's the headlines from CNBC website. It says soaring lumber price adds nearly $19,000 to the cost of a new home. And it says right here, here's their key points. After falling back sharply from a record high in May of last year, record high, lumber prices began climbing again in December. And it says they are now about 22% lower than that peak, but lumber here in the United States, this is all talking United States, but still is about 3 times higher than their average pre-pandemic price. And here's what it says. So, but what's really important, so the big take, I could read the whole thing, but I'm not going to. Here's a quote from David Logan, who's the director of tax and trade analysis at the National Association of Home Builders. That's the big organization here. They've got on staff economists and big financial thinkers at the NAHB. He says, with a historically low level of overall housing inventory. Okay, think about that. Historically low level. It means, the shelves are empty. In other words, if you're looking for a new home in different markets in America, they're hard to find. So it says, with a historically low level of overall housing inventory and solid demand due to low mortgage interest rates and favorable demographics, new construction has been unable to add additional needed supply to the market, resulting in unsustainable gains for home prices. All right, and then here's the bottom line. So this is the payoff, because the question is, when will lumber prices go down? All right. Here's what the article says. So pay attention to this, because it's really important. There are several reasons behind the inflation. All right, so there's several reasons, but it's mostly that sawmills can't keep up with demand. Sawmill output dropped at the start of the pandemic, and while it has recovered some, it is still plagued by labor shortages. Compared to the increase in housing starts, sawmill output is significantly behind. And it says other issues inflating lumber prices include ongoing supply chain disruptions, tariffs on Canadian lumber imports, and unusually strong wildfire season in the American West and in British Columbia. So those are all really complex things, and they all add up to the fact that For example, like the wildfires. Let's talk about the wildfires for a minute. The wildfires, it's not so much that they burn the trees down because they don't do that. Fires don't get typically that hot that they consume the whole tree. Um, but they make it so that the guys can't go in and get the lumber. I mean, it makes it much harder, all right, to a degree. And, and it can damage some of it, all right? It depends on the size of the tree that they're harvesting. Because the heat of the fire, depending on how hot the fire was, it might damage the trees, crack the trees, whatever, boil the sap inside of them. Uh, but supply chain disruptions. All right, that's that's the buzzword here in America right now. Supply chain disruptions, and I think it's a I don't have any proof of this. It's just a personal feeling. Supply chain disruption, I, especially when it comes to lumber, because that's all here in America. Um, I think it's a bunch of hocus pocus. The only thing that I can point to it is that where it might be true is I do know that there has been a shortage because it hurts me in the stain solver business, a shortage of certain types of semi tractor trailer drivers. That there are some marketplaces where they are short of drivers. So if you're looking for a job, you like to travel, go get your CDL license. You will have no trouble getting hired anywhere, even here in central New Hampshire. All right, so now the answer. So your question is, when will lumber prices go down? Here's my prediction. Because of what we just discussed, I don't see that the prices of lumber are going to go down. Here it is, the middle of February 2022. I don't know. And with inflation going up, so we just had another report come out that the wholesale price inflation here in the United States, 9.2%. And it's not going to get better anytime soon. Here's what I'm going to tell you. I don't think that the prices are ever going to come down to pre-pandemic levels. That's my prediction. That's scary. I mean, they'll come down, but I don't think we're going to see those prices again. And so what does that mean to you? It means, well, maybe you don't start a project now, but there were some really important things in that article. I'll give you I'm going to put the URL here for you because I was taught by a very, very wealthy investor how to read these articles. And you might just skim through it and really miss some of the important stuff. But I really keyed in on a couple of things. There's a couple of key sentences in this article. You need to go read it. All right. So I just don't think that the prices are going to come down anytime soon. I think that, like here in America, I think it's all very interrelated, but I think it was despicable that the government started handing out money, more money than people would normally make a week. And so people got, well, why should I go work? Why should I go work in the hot, dusty sawmill? And where some of these sawmills are located, they're not located in the center of the flipping city. All right? Where you have a big labor pool. I can take you to sawmills here in New Hampshire. They're up north, 50 miles. There's like nobody around. There's not a lot of people who live near these sawmills. So the government giving away free money, that really hurts all the businesses. And it takes a while for people to get over that mindset. Bottom line, I don't think the prices are coming down anytime soon. Bad news, sorry. You can start tracking it. There's all kinds of charts that you can get, lumber price charts. You can get updates every day. You can sign up for updates on your phone. Really easy. I'm sure there's an app that traces it. Let me get caught up on the chat here. And if you have a question about anything about your home, doesn't have to be about lumber prices, put it in the chat. You're the one who controls what we talk about each day. So go ahead and type a question in. Let's see what's up there. Uh, okay. So Steve says 15 years ago, we could get double the dollars for our pound. Ah, see, I'm so bad. That shows you how bad us Americans are. So that means does that mean that the pound 15 years ago was even stronger? It has to be. It's got to be. That's what it is. Because it seems to me that if the dollar was strong, I would be able with my dollar to get a whole lot more pounds. I thought that's what it meant. I may know a lot about building, but I sure don't know about international currency exchange. I can tell you that right now. Um, how many houses does the U.S. build a year? Um, good. Thanks for jumping in there, Alex, with that thing about the wildfire. Steve, I don't know. I have to look it up. I don't know, but I would say back in the heyday, a number like 1.2 million hits me. I'm not talking like last year or even 5 years ago, but it seems like a number like 1.2 million would have been an average build year. Let's see. All right. Al says, my guess is we won't see price come down, but we'll see promotions. Yeah, I would agree with that, Alex. Steve wants to know, do you think those wildfires were started deliberately? Some are. I get this. You'll like this. Yeah, Alex is right. Exactly. The day the euro came out, the dollar was stronger, and it was amazing for me. Alex, Mr. Currency Trader. I'll tell you my only experience of the wildfire. I went up to California to visit my daughter, who lived out probably about 30 miles south of San Jose in a at the time it was a smaller little town called Morgan Hill, no longer that way. It's big now. And I'm trying to think when it was. I don't know, it was 5 or 6 years ago. And there was a big grass fire, a big brush fire, big one. And her house was kind of threatened, but they caught it in time. And I had to go north for some reason down this main road, and you could actually trace where the wildfire started. I actually saw where it started. You're not going to believe it. It was right alongside the roadway, this main road, right at a bus stop. So you know what happened, right? Somebody was smoking, finished their cigarette, and flicked it out, and boom, there she goes. All right. So anyway, that's it about lumber prices. They're not coming down. Not for a while. I mean, the whole economy, here in the United States, it's a little topsy turvy right now, and I'm telling you, this inflation is not going away. It's and part of it is fuel costs. I know what Alex, you must be paying 4.70 a gallon for gas out there, maybe more. I mean, here in New Hampshire, I just paid the other day like $3.34 a gallon. And I'm telling you, 18 months ago, I paid just a few pennies over $2. That's crazy. Especially when while Trump was in office, we were an oil exporter. We were not importing any oil. We have so much oil here in America. And President Biden shut a lot of it down. That's crazy. It's crazy. Concrete fires. You're right. I've talked about this, Steve, because your country is so old. I mean, England, Britain. Are you kidding me? I mean, it's been settled for 3,000 years, at least 4,000, maybe. And you guys, and then you grow. I mean, you cut down all your trees a long time ago. They're all gone. And I know you have some forest, but you don't have timber production forest like we do here in America. I mean, Alex may have gone north and seen some. I mean, if you go, I've been up to the Pacific Northwest, and I'm telling you, it's just, you've never seen so many trees in your life. Weyerhaeuser, Georgia Pacific, these are huge corporations that, I mean, and I'll tell you where they have a lot of lumber, just east of me in the state of Maine. Oh my goodness. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of square miles of nothing but timberland, all owned by timber companies. In fact, I think I've told you, I'm the chief of communications for the New England Forest Rally. And we have this rally, this road rally every year. It's all on land owned by the big lumber companies. They have all these roads that have been there forever that they use to be able to harvest the trees. So they'll harvest trees in an area, they'll clear cut, and for every tree they cut down, they plant 3 or 4. And so then they come back 30 or 40 years later to cut trees again. You have to understand that trees here in America, they're no different than corn or soybeans or watermelons or onions. It's just a crop. And our people have figured out how to grow it really, really effectively. In fact, there's something that you need to see. I need to put to this column. There's a bad thing about the lumber that we're growing though now, and you're going to go see a photo. I want you to go look at the photo. Hey Steve, can you get rid of that guy? That bad person. That's one of those people you warned me about 3 months ago. Yes, Alex says, yes, Stonehenge is 4,000 years old. Exactly. Our lumber is very sustainable and misunderstood. It's a great building product for us. Yes, it is. Absolutely. The only problem with it is, so Alex, you probably know this, but maybe you don't. You should go look at the picture, the 2 pictures on this page I just put up there, because I saved old lumber, and when you see the difference between the older lumber and the newer lumber and how it's been hybridized, it's not good. It's not good at all. Thanks, Steve. And but go look at the size of the springwood rings and that lumber that we use today. A lot of people don't know this about trees. All right, so you know it, but you don't really think about it. So when you go to count how old a tree is, you only count every other ring, right? Because you'll either count the light or the dark rings, whichever is easier for you to count. So that means that there's 2 growth rings per year. And that's exactly what happens. So here in America, with our trees, in the spring, over the winter, the trees go dormant. They don't grow. They're not growing at all because the sap, what happens here in America for both the evergreens, I think but maybe not as much as the deciduous, but the deciduous trees in the fall, when the deciduous trees lose their leaves, the sap that's up in the tree pretty much drains back down into the roots, and it gets stored there ready for the next season. And then I already know in Cincinnati, the sap's running. I mean, the sap has already run and the trees are starting to bud soon, if not already. Here in New Hampshire, we're about a month behind. What happens is when the sap runs and then it springs here, the tree starts to grow and it starts to put on a band of what we call springwood because it's growing in the spring. And that's the lighter color band of wood when you cut a tree or you look at the end of a timber. So the light band is what grew in the spring. And then as spring transitions to summer, around June, July, the tree starts to slow down. It starts to slow down. And typically what happens, that's tied to a lack of moisture. Because in most of the places here in America, as we get into June and July, you don't get as much rain. You typically get more rain in the spring than you do in the summer. Not always, just typically. The tree starts to harden off and it starts to then put on what's called the summer wood. And the summer wood is that darker band of wood, and it's much denser, it's much harder. Alex, if you have to sand something, it's really easy to sand the spring wood, but that dark band is really hard, really hard. And typically, the strongest lumber is where the spring wood and the summer wood bands are about the same width. That's the way the old growth timber used to be. But it takes a long time to get a big tree, hundreds of years. And I've got photos of that right on that column I just shared. Um, I'll answer that in a second. So the trouble is, this spring wood is water can get into it easier. Um, it rots faster. Um, termite wood destroying insects love it, so it's much easier for termites, carpenter ants to get into that spring wood. So it's just not a good thing. So our hybridized lumber is not nearly as good as the old growth stuff, and it's just it is what it is. So if you can ever get your hands on old growth lumber, timbers, by all means do it. For example, like Alex, if you it may not be you may not think it's worthy or price cost. It makes sense cost wise, but if you were going to tear down an old home in Los Angeles that was maybe built in the 1900s, early 1900s, boy, if you could figure out a way to do it, I would save every single wall stud, every roof rafter, every floor joist. I mean, assuming they're in good condition, you probably would get a king's ransom for them. There are people who will buy that stuff. All right, so let's answer some questions. What do they use to make the trees grow quicker? I think they've just hybridized them, Steve. I'm not an arborist, but you can hybridize and change the genetics in a tree or in any plant to make them grow faster, and that's what they've done. Yeah, Alex says we're certainly seeing a lot more nail popping from new construction on drywall. I think that's directly related to the higher amount of spring wood in the timbers. That's a great question. Alex wants to know, how should people try to minimize nail pops when building a new wall or remodeling? Okay, the only way that I know how to do it, and it's not really feasible for the most part, would be to use lumber. If I'm lucky enough, when I build my next home, here's what I'm going to do. But the time's running out. Just look at the color of my hair. If I could wave a magic wand, what I would do is, you have it different out there in LA because it's so dry. So you're lucky because it'll happen faster. Here, where I live in New Hampshire, or even in the Midwest in Cincinnati, if I had my druthers, I would frame the house. I would get it all, the roof on, windows and doors in, put on all the siding, get it completely weatherproof, and stop. I would not do any more. I would not do any mechanics inside. No plumbing, no heating, no wiring, no nothing. Just let it sit. Not so much for a year, but try to time it that it would be able to sit all summer and the house could dry out. So in your case, Alex, this is just an idea, but it's not. You'd have to invest a lot of money, and I don't know that you'd ever get it back. It's almost like you would have to buy your lumber, have a giant, huge carport that was secure, where no one would break in, and you would dry the lumber. You would actually buy this lumber, and you know how it all comes all stacked together. You would have to break it down and stick it so that air could get to all of it, and you would let the lumber dry out before you use it. I mean, but how much work that would be. It's crazy. So, because everybody wants their stuff done right away. They don't want to wait. They want you to get the room addition up, get the house up, get in, so that's, you're just gonna have to deal with it. All right, let me get caught up here. Steve wants to know, if people use reclaimed wood, how would they know if it's been treated or what the lifespan it has? Good question. If you go to that link that I provided and you can see the photos, you would be able to tell right away that that the old growth stuff was not treated because it doesn't have to be treated. One of the unique things about that older lumber is that we I guess the carpenters here in America got babyfied. I don't know. But that old lumber, it was never sanded. I mean, it had a rough finish. And so typically you'll see a stamp on our lumber, Steve. It says S4S. All right, the S4S stands for sanded four sides. So after the lumber gets milled, they actually sand it so it's pretty smooth. I mean, our 2x4s are smooth. Pretty hard to get a splinter. The only time you'll get a splinter is when you cut it yourself and have a little bit of a rough edge. But the older lumber, if you haven't got calloused hands and you handle that older lumber, I mean, you'll get all these tiny little splinters in your fingers. Oh, it's horrible. You have to wear gloves if you don't have calloused hands. All right, Steve says, I've seen brick houses in the U.S. Surely it's not all wood. All right, that's a great question. Here in America, the older brick homes, and what I mean by older, I would say things that were built, mid 1800s, late 1800s, early 1900s, and even to a degree, some houses, like my father-in-law's house, in the 1950s, he built a brick home, and it had concrete block. Well, you call it that breeze block. So they had a single layer of brick outside, and then inside was a layer of 4-inch concrete block. And then to that, they would nail furring strips that are 3/4 of an inch thick. So that would be 3/4. That would be, I don't know, 18 millimeters thick by, hold on, I'm getting there, like 60 millimeters wide, pieces of wood. And they, to which they would then attach the drywall or plaster, the lath board. But what we do now, primarily the brick homes here that I see, I don't know about Alex, what they do in California. I haven't seen much of it. I don't know that it's that popular out there anyway. But we have what's called brick veneer, Steve, where the brick is really no different than siding. The brick on many of the houses that have built in America in the last 30, 40 years, it has no structural value at all. Because right behind the brick is the lumber, the 2x4s or 2x6s that are the structure and the bones of the house. And the brick is just a facade. And in fact, when it's not done right, because they don't put enough wall ties, they don't connect the brick to the wood. You can go online and you can see, if you type into YouTube right now and type in brick veneer, I'm just going to guess, brick veneer falls. I would just type that into the search engine, brick veneer falls, and you'll see places where the entire front of a house, the brick has completely peeled off the house because the bricklayers didn't do it right. And so the house won't fall down because it's no different than just taking any other siding off. And the biggest misconception that a lot of people here in America have is that they think that if they have a brick home, that it's far more weatherproof. They think that it's that rain won't leak in. They just think that and that I think comes from the fable. The what is it? The Three Little Pigs, right? The one little pig built his house out of straw, and the wolf came and ate him. And then the one little pig built his house out of wood, and then the wolf ate him too. But then the one little pig built his house out of brick, and the wolf couldn't get him. And so I think that people think that, oh, if I build with brick, I'm good to go. No, not at all. Water goes right through brick. And I've got a lot of columns on the website about this that explain it. And so you in London, your bricklayers know this, Steve. You build, I'm sure, the same way that has been done for hundreds of years, where the brick that's on the outside that people see from the street, it's a harder brick than the brick that they use the next layer in. The next layer in is not the same. It's a softer brick that's more absorbent. So what happens is when it rains, the rain goes right through the mortar joint, and typically it goes through the vertical joint, what we call the head joint, and there's tiny little cracks, and the water goes right through, and then it hits the brick behind, and that brick soaks up the water. And you'll have a bad rainstorm over there for a day or two. Then maybe the weather clears. And then what happens as soon as it stops raining and the wind's blowing, the wind, as crazy as the sound, it pulls that water right back out of the brick. So the water goes in, water comes out, water goes in, water comes out. And that's been known for hundreds of years. And that's the way houses were built here, and buildings in America, where they use that softer inner brick, and works really well. It's a great system. What you want to make sure is that you use hydrated lime in your mortar. We talked about that about 3-4 weeks ago. So hydrated lime, the best thing to use for a brick mortar. Absolutely, unequivocally the best. I love hydrated lime. All right, if you have any questions, I don't care what it is, put it in the chat. We've got a lot of people here, and I want to get your questions. I see a lot of people, so type in your question, and I'll do my best to answer it. While I'm waiting for a question to come in, I will share with you. So I was up early today, and I said earlier that I had a record day yesterday for 3 plumbing isometric drawings. So I wanted to get them off my plate right away. I had drawn one yesterday, and for a gentleman in New Orleans. And then the other order was from a person in New Jersey. And then the third order was from an architect that I do a lot of work for in Arizona. Linda is her name. And Linda's, she does a lot of custom homes. And the plan that Linda sent me, really an interesting home. It was not that hard to draw, but I have to really hand it to the homeowner. I don't know if it was the homeowner that specified it. Typically it is. They're these custom homes, especially all the ones that I built, the homeowners are really involved in the planning process. With this particular home, now I had this in my last house. In my last house in Cincinnati, I had 2 sinks in the kitchen. So this house had a sink along the wall, but it also had an island sink. Very, very handy to have a second sink in a kitchen. But I saw something in this house in all my years I have never seen. I'm telling the truth. It's like, are you serious? So this house, it had a really big pantry that was attached to the kitchen. I mean, really big. I mean, I don't know if these people are preppers or what, but you can put a lot of food in this room, this pantry. And it had a big countertop, an L-shaped countertop, and in the pantry was a sink. First time I've ever seen that. Really interesting. But they also, and I've talked about this a long time, and I don't know why more people don't do this. They had a 3-car garage, and it was pretty spacious. It wasn't, I don't ever want to say anything to this architect. I don't want to offend him, but most architects draw garages all wrong. They're all too narrow. They're too narrow. And I've got columns on my website to tell you exactly how to build a garage, how to size it. Anyway, in this garage, they had put a slop sink or a utility sink. Very, very good idea. I mean, if you're working on a car, if you're working on a lawnmower, I don't know, just you're repairing anything, doing something out in the garage. Maybe you've been working in the yard. Your hands are filthy. The last thing you want to be doing is coming inside and even going to the sink in the laundry room. Somewhere along the way, you're gonna touch something, and it's not going to be a good outcome. So why not have a sink in the garage? Well, guess what? These people have one. What was their names? Julie and I forget the guy. Julie and somebody else. Anyway, that was a really fun plumbing isometric to draw, to be honest with you. It was really fun. All right, here we go. Let me get caught up. Steve says, what I've seen with builders these days, they do on a layer of brick, then insulation, then bridge. Yes, that's the correct way to do it, Steve. That's the best way to do it. Um, we're doing a lot. Well, once again, remember, we have very little masonry construction here in America, very little. But that system that you just described is how almost all of the commercial work is done here. In America, um, our fire codes make it so that you can't use wood in commercial construction. If you do use wood, it's got to be special wood that's been treated with chemicals that it basically it's very hard to set it on fire. So here in America, we use much more. Where they use steel studs, thin gauge steel, and in the masonry, they do exactly what you described. For insulation purposes, and it's a really good method. I mean, it's that they use the closed cell foam. It's really, really good. All right, so the levee in New Orleans must be doing okay because I haven't seen anything in the news that it failed. The hurricane, that Hurricane Katrina, the storm surge and the wind, it'll just eat away at it, and that's exactly why it failed back 12 or 13 years ago, whenever it was. Um, Will, howdy, it is better late than never. And so I think the levees are fine. The levee is right there, the kiss of death. I mean, the problem with the levee is that when a river typically floods, it's spreading the water out over a wider area. And so when you have to take that same amount of water and control it, and you put it between two walls, you automatically make the level of the water go higher. So that's problematic, and that's the problem. So that when a levee fails, it's never good. I mean, the other side of that levee, those people, within hours could be under 10, 15 feet of water. Crazy. Anyway, crutch word. So if you are here and you have a question about your home or you have a comment about anything, just type it in the chat and I'll be happy to answer it, whatever it might be. Tomorrow here in New Hampshire, I think Will's going to get a taste of this as well. We're getting like a very short burst of warmth. I think it's going to be in the 50s. And I think it's going to rain a little bit tomorrow night, not tonight. Hey, Steve, I'll get that in just a second. But then I see the weather. Then it's going to go back down, get cold again. I'll look here because it's really we're getting into the kind of the transitional period. Really, here in New Hampshire, it's actually April, but right now it's above freezing here, 38. Yeah, tomorrow it shows 52 degrees. Friday, it's showing it's going to be 50 as the high, 50, but that's going to be in the morning. And then what's going to happen is as the day progresses, the temperature is going to drop like a rock. We're going to lose 40 degrees over the day, 40, because late Friday night into Saturday morning, it's going to be 9 degrees. Then Saturday, 33, 36, 51, 38, 40. So it's going to be, and they're saying we're going to get 0.6 of an inch of rain. All right, tomorrow night. We'll see. All right, Steve Morgan. Is tiling a garage floor a good idea? No, not in my opinion. Not at all. Especially if you were to use a glazed tile, even one with kind of a matte finish, because they're so slippery. I mean, so slippery. Oh my gosh. And, me, the way I use my garage, everybody might use the garage differently. Me, I've got a 2-foot pipe wrench hanging on walls. I've got heavy tools hanging on walls. And if I grab one and it slips and hits the floor, tile's cracked, guaranteed. Here in New Hampshire, I have a lot of sand in my garage. The car tracks in. I mean, a tile floor would look like hell within a year. It'd be horrible. I'm a big fan of just concrete. I love concrete. You can put a steel trowel finish on it, but you don't want to make it too smooth for the same reason, because when it gets wet, it gets slippery. And the concrete, I mean, it's easy to maintain. It's easy to clean. Even if you spill oil on it, as long as you get the oil up pretty quickly, you're not going to see an oil stain. The reason you see oil stains on concrete in driveways and garages is because the people don't deal with the oil right away. So if you have a leak or if you have something that's leaking, well, for goodness sakes, put some cardboard down under the engine. In other words, use common sense. Like if you're lazy and you don't want to clean the oil up right away, then capture it before it gets to the concrete. None of this is hard. So I would never put tile for a concrete floor, never. And these epoxy finishes, same thing. They can be a little slippery. You have to be really careful. And I've gotten so many photos from homeowners who have had these epoxy floors done, and the epoxy fails, which I knew it will. The epoxy peels off, and it just looks horrible because some places have epoxy still down, other places don't. So I can't say enough good things just about concrete. It's wonderful. All right, here we go. You're getting a storm on Friday, Dudley. Yeah, I saw that in the news. Yeah, I saw you're going to up in Scotland. They're going to have some snow. Josh, 63. Yeah, I saw Cincinnati was warm, 60s in February. Wow. Yeah, I don't know. Will, I don't know if we're going to be able to get the ice off because um, the base is so cold. I just think it needs to be warmer for a couple of days. You're welcome, Steve. I just can't imagine putting tile down. It's just it's there's just too many downsides, and just too many downsides. Oh, all right. Um, yes, Will says I've seen 16-inch interlocking rubber mats on a garage floor. Yes, I've seen those too. And then if like in a big garage like mine, you're talking about several $1,000s. And once again, I go back to the concrete. Here's the neat thing about concrete. Once again, a lot of people don't know this. You can stain it. All right. And if you're building the garage and I know this sounds nuts. Even if you can stain it even after the fact, as long as it's not been steel trowed too hard. But you can actually make your garage floor look like leather. I'm not kidding. You know how leather, like not all leather has the exact same color tone, how it's a little lighter, a little darker in places. It's you can do that with concrete. You can, and when they're installing the concrete, that's the best time because here in America, if you've not seen it, like go onto YouTube and watch stamped concrete videos. So just type stamped concrete into YouTube and watch a few videos, and you'll see what they do. They'll colorize the concrete, meaning you can have a red patio or a green patio or a dark blue or like a bluish gray. And they do that. All they do is after they bull float the concrete, the concrete's still pretty wet. They take these dry shake pigments that looks just like flour that you would bake bread with, and they take this colorant and they broadcast it into the concrete. They just put it around, and then they bull float it in so that the top quarter inch of the concrete is a color. So if you don't like the nasty or the regular color look of regular concrete, understand that you can colorize it. Nothing hard about doing it at all. The concrete finishers, they don't care. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No doubt. Jay Leno's garage. Are you kidding me? Good for him. I like Jay Leno a lot. I like him a lot. And he's, and you know how smart he was. So he's completely protected himself against inflation because there he took a bunch of his money and he's invested it in things that are not money. I mean, he put millions and millions of dollars into these older cars that just go up in value like crazy. They go up in value more than the stock market does. All right. So Steve wants to know, can you screed a garage floor after it's been built? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, I have columns on the website about that. Here in America, we call it an overlay. So we call it a concrete overlay. I'll go find one for you. I'll find a really good one. Stand by here. I'll put it in the search. Yes, yes, yes. I know I can sign up for the newsletter. Blah, blah, blah. I get a pop up. I don't know why I keep getting a pop up. I don't know why it's not setting a cookie. So here we go. This is I have a bunch of columns. I have so many. Oh my gosh. I'm actually going to do this. Yeah, I'm going to just copy the search result link so that you can see them all. Go here and have a blast. Go there and look at all the columns and the overlay. Here's Steve. Here, what's really cool about the overlays. They can be as thin as an eighth of an inch, where we would just, an eighth of an inch. So to you, that would be 3 millimeters, maybe 4 millimeters. And there you're just mixing up medium sand with cement and putting that over. And the biggest problem that you have, what you have to be careful of, is if the concrete's really cracked and offset, like where you've got a crack and one piece of concrete is higher than the other, you've got to probably squirt some epoxy in there. You got to because that crack's going to telegraph through the overlay. But overlays are fantastic, and that what a lot of people don't know, and I cover it in all my columns, every single one. I learned this from an old concrete mason when I was just first in the business. This guy was probably 70 years old, and he taught me that the trick to get the new concrete to bond to the old is you have to put a layer of cement paint down. So you mix up your concrete overlay, and if the concrete's thick, like an inch or two, you might have small stones in it. But if it's a thinner overlay, it's just going to be some type of sand with a Portland cement. But you mix that up, and you of course have your old concrete clean. There's no dust on it. You might even lightly spritz it with a little bit of water, but then you have already mixed up what we call cement paint. And all cement paint is, it's just Portland cement and water. And you mix it to the consistency. Use cold water, as cold as you can get. You just mix it to the consistency of thin paint, and you roll that on just like a thin layer of paint. And you immediately cover that with the overlay. You don't put it so much concrete cement paint on that it can dry. You have to cover it with the overlay before it would dry. So if you're trying to work with it on a sunny, breezy day, it's really hard to do. Really. You have to have a lot of people there very carefully putting that cement paint down right before the overlay goes down. You do that, the overlay is never coming up. All right, so let me get to the questions here. Sam. My son had the leather look put on his concrete floors in his house a couple of years ago. Yeah, isn't it beautiful? Tell everybody how beautiful it is. Josh, I tinted the entire truck of concrete around my pool. There you go. And exactly. They use the colored form release before stamping. Exactly. It's beautiful. The concrete can be stunning, can be gorgeous. And so if you don't, I'm just going back to Steve's question, so my guess is Steve doesn't like, he did not like the look of regular concrete. A lot of people don't. Well, guess what? You can change the way it looks. Good question. What do I think about concrete countertops? I'm not a big fan of them at all. And a couple of reasons. They take a lot of care to install correctly. You won't find a lot of people that can do it right. Here's the problem. On a personal level, see, I'm a big sucker for granite because, being a geologist, and the granites that are out there are so many different granites, and they're so beautiful. They're let me show you the picture of the last granite top I put in at my house. If Kathy knew I was sharing this picture, she would actually cry. Because I hope I can find it. I'm going to show you our old kitchen sink. I am not, just hold on, hold on. That's not the search term. So I'm going to put, oh, I know what it is. Here we go. I got it. I got it. Wait till you see this granite, buddy. Luckily, Kathy and I could agree on this. And what you're not, I'll show you. And once you see this photo, I'll explain something. So this was the kitchen sink in a house I sold in Cincinnati. And I promised Kathy that I'm going to build her another one just like it. So I keep my debts, as Alex knows. So look at that photo in that link I just sent. So that is a beautiful. So this is why I don't like concrete. I mean, because I can get the same benefit of concrete using granite, and I pretty much know that the granite's not going to crack. The trouble, Steve, with concrete countertops, this is a known fact, and you cannot get away from this. A lot of people don't know this. A lot of people get so upset because a contractor will pour concrete and the concrete cracks. And the people go, oh, I want new concrete. I want new concrete. The concrete cracked. Well, luckily for me, way back when, I knew it was going to happen. Here's a fact. For every 10 feet of concrete you pour, even under ideal conditions, you've got the water to cement ratio right, everything's right. It shrinks 1/16 of an inch for every 10 feet of length. All right. It shrinks. So that shrinkage within the concrete creates a tension force just like this. So if this is the concrete and it's shrinking, I'm trying to do this so you can see it. It tears itself apart. That's what those random cracks are in concrete. The concrete is ripping itself apart. The way we contractors deal with it, if Alex is still here, he'll tell you if he pours concrete, he's supposed to put in a control joint. That's a line. It's basically, we put that on purpose. And what's a control joint? A control joint does the same thing as when you take a piece of paper and you want to tear it nicely and evenly. What do? You fold it and you crease it. You run your fingernail across it. And what you're doing, which you may not realize, you never realize this, you're actually tearing and you're breaking the fibers, the wood fibers in the paper. And if you crease it enough times, run your fingernail across enough times, you really weaken the paper, and then you can start to tear it and tears evenly. Well, that's why we put those lines in concrete. And the trouble is 99 out of 100 concrete masons don't put them in right, because the minimum depth of the line is supposed to be 1/4 the thickness of the slab. So think about that. When was the last time you walked on a sidewalk here in America and you saw a control joint in it and it was 1 inch deep? Because almost all sidewalks are 4 inches thick. Never. You've never seen that. Never. I mean, maybe if it's been saw cut, maybe. Let's get back to the granite top. So here's the thing about granite. So granite, number one, doesn't shrink. So you don't have to worry about cracks. Number two, it's harder than the concrete, especially if you get one like you see in my photo that's got a lot of quartz in it. And number three, the obvious, it's so much more beautiful. Are you kidding me? And if you've not gone to a granite showroom, if I urge you to go one Saturday or during the week, whenever you're off. I mean, when you see the types of granite that are out there, it will blow your flipping mind. So that we still have that same faucet here in New Hampshire. That's a Moen Victorian faucet. That's the faucet I was talking about a couple of days ago or a week ago. I don't know how many thousands of times those handles have been turned hot and cold and no leaks. I mean, 12, 13 years old here. Just crazy. Great, great, great faucet. Granite. That's what you want. Granite, granite, granite. Can't say enough good things about granite. All right. Let me get caught up. Yeah. Well, you can't. I mean, you're dreaming if you're not going to move the concrete because by default, unless they put a wax paper layer down, because they have to put they have to put forms in so the concrete doesn't. I mean, here's the trouble: if you cast the concrete somewhere else and you carry it to the house, you're probably going to crack it anyway. So you can actually cast the concrete in place, but oh, what a nightmare! Oh, I wouldn't do it. Yeah, exactly, Steve. Yeah, I did do a video installing it. It was so beautiful. Oh my God, that granite. You can't really see it well in those photos, but some of those darker small dots that are about the size of my tip of my finger, those are garnets. Those are a deep ruby red. It was such a gorgeous granite. Oh my gosh. You can still get it. I mean, I'd still get it. Well, it can be a little pricey. Granite can be a little pricey. No doubt about it. But my gosh, it's beautiful. Oh, can't say enough good things about it. All right, what else do we want to talk about? No matter what you have questions about, I will answer it. I would love to. I want to solve a couple more problems today. So, if you've got a problem, type it into the chat. I'm so happy to help you. That's why I do these live streams. But I also like to talk to Steve and Alex. Alex, who's going to gain 10 pounds. Too bad for you, Alex. Eating all those pecandis. Go into a diabetic coma. It's really good. Those candies are so good. Oh my gosh. I'll put it in for everybody once again. So just go to that website. You'll see a link for specialty candies. You can also buy ice cream from them. They make they make the best ice cream I've ever tasted, bar none. No one's even come close. And now that it's winter here in the United States, they'll ship it anywhere. But once we start to get towards late May, they will only ship it to certain places. Like they'll ship it to Upper Michigan. Maybe they would ship it to me in New Hampshire. Maybe, but they pack it in dry ice. But they can, But right now you can get it anywhere in America. Great stuff, and of course you can get their candy any time of year. Good stuff. So that's the and what I sent Steve. I sent him a pound of dark chocolate pecandis. So the pecandis, they take a few pecans, they coat them with a special caramel. And what's neat about their caramel is that it is, you can adjust the hardness of caramel. So it's a softer caramel. And then they coat it with the chocolate, and it's very generous. I don't know how. I guess it's just the viscosity of the chocolate is different. But these guys are experts. They've been making chocolate candies for over 100 years. But anyway, good stuff. Does granite go up in value? I would say no. I'm just going to say here's the problem: is that here in America, Steve, the kitchens are the heaviest used rooms in most homes. So what happens is they take a lot of abuse, and the kitchen industry, they just like the clothing industry, so that they can sell more clothes. I mean, what do? They have new trends, new colors, new styles. It's the same thing in every part of decorating homes, painting homes. People are paid millions and millions of dollars to come up with this stuff. And some of these consumers out there, they're unfortunately, there's a bunch of consumers that have to have the newest thing, or they have weak egos, in my opinion, and they think that their neighbors and friends will think more of them if they have the latest thing. And because of that, then they may remodel their kitchen before it has to be done, because they want to have the newest cabinets or whatever. So that means you're getting new countertops. And so it's just, I would say, no, they do not go, it goes down in value. That's what I would say. Yes, I want to go to that. I want to go to that ice cream shop. Will after we golf, we're going there, no doubt about it. So I'm not coming up to golf until that shop's open. Okay, Steve. Thanks for being here. Great question, by the way, about the tile floor in a garage. That was a great question. It really was. I hope you don't do it. By gosh, I hope you don't do it because someone's going to slip and fall and get hurt on that tile. I have to shoot off now, Tim. Okay, Steve, thanks for being here. You got here early, buddy. It was great talking to you. Good for you to be here. I appreciate it. Have a great night. I'll be here tomorrow if all things go well. Kathy's car should be back finally. Hope to get it back before noon. And anyway, all right, Will, you know what to do with that. With Aaron, she's a liar. She's a tramp. Aaron, you're a flippin' tramp. You're not even Aaron. You're just a liar, tramp, trollop. I'll call it to your face. get get rid of her, Will. Oh my gosh, the nerve of these people. I mean, all right. If you have any questions, now is the time to ask them. It's getting late in the live stream. I'm going to be going soon. And, just like at a bar, last call for alcohol. So if you've got a question, I don't care what it is, it can be a question about anything. Happy to answer it. Roofing question. Will had a great question yesterday about mildew on his storm door. Steve question was great. Putting ceramic tile in, in a garage. I mean, I've never seen it done. That's why it was such a great question. Sam's got a question. We used to visit relatives in Minnesota, and the place we stayed at had an ice cream by landladies called Caramel Caribou. Oh, well, what happens? You might be able to find that same ice cream, but under a different name. At Aglamisi's, if you go there to the one in Cincinnati, if you actually go to the shop, when they're open to have a soda or a sundae, they scoop the ice cream right there in front of you. They have a really great caramel ice cream there. For a really good friend of mine, she was actually my first girlfriend. She used to manage the Aglamisi's. They have two locations, one up in Montgomery, north of the original one, and I can only imagine how many. Oh my gosh. She probably made as many ice cream cones and made as many sundaes. Well, I worked at Skyline a lot longer than she worked at Aglamisi's, but thousands, thousands, and thousands she had to make. So she's an expert on the ice cream and the caramels. All right, T. Goodall. Should we wait to do an addition on the house? If so, do you think next year? That is a great question. Oh my gosh. You're welcome, Marvel. I enjoy being here. All right. All right, here we go. Let's answer T. Goodall's question. I'm going to say, let me ask this question. Where do you live? Just give me the city or the state. You don't have, if you don't, just give me the state if you want. If you don't want to pin yourself down. It might have a little bit to do with the answer. In the meantime, while you're typing that, I'll just say, had some maple with bacon bits in Florida. Oh my gosh. Maple and bacon ice cream. Oh my gosh. Crank and Boom ice cream in Lexington has bourbon and honey. Wow. Okay, South Carolina. Good. All right. I would say, so, you're in the South. I would say if you can do it this year, you should do it this year. Here's why. I think that just the overarching inflation is going to get worse. So prices are going to go up over time. And if I was in a situation where I wanted to lock in prices on windows and doors and all that, I would be doing it now. So the sooner you do it, the better is all I can tell you. That's Yeah, Greenville. I've been there. I would absolutely do the room addition. The sooner the better. If you've not already done and just so you know, I offer a service. I hardly advertise it at all, but I do. I offer service where I can review your plans, and I don't mean your finished plans. What I mean is, if you think you want to do this room addition, you need to draw it out on a scrap of paper. You need to kind of just get some quarter-inch graph paper, kind of draw out to scale your existing home, and then draw onto the house what you think the room addition is going to be. And what I do is I advise people all the time about what I see as flaws, like flaws in design, something being too small, too big, whatever. And I catch mistakes that you may never catch, and you want to catch them early in the process. You don't want to spend all this money with an architect and then find out the plans are wrong and then have to get redrawn. So you want to catch it in the preliminary stage. So if you're interested, you know how to get a hold of me. Just go to the website, go to the Ask Tim page. Just send me a message. You're welcome. All right, I'm going to get out of here. So Josh just talking about the honey and bourbon ice cream. I think I'm going to get out of here. An hour, 16 minutes. That's plenty of time. A lot of time. I should be here tomorrow. I don't see any reason why not. And you're welcome. You're welcome to. Yeah, I don't advertise the service. All it is it's just you're just buying my time in 15-minute chunks. But usually, in less than a half an hour, I go over it and it's done. And then I send back comments. I send you back and say I would do this, this, this. Don't do this. Blah blah blah. So that's part of the service. Okay, I'm going to get out of here. Steve's already gone. Alex probably jumped out a long time ago. He's got to work. He's got stuff going on today. He's working out in LA. Steve, thank you. If you're still here, I think you left. Orville, great that you're here. Boy, it better be ready tomorrow because it better be. It's got to be ready tomorrow. The answer is yes. I'll tell you what happened. If I didn't give you an update. First of all, here's what happened. When you're driving the car and you've got your foot on the gas, all of a sudden it loses power. It's like you're pushing the gas and nothing happens. It's like if you push the gas, it's not going to go faster. In fact, it starts decelerating. That's odd. And the first time it did it to me was 9 days ago, as we were coming back from church. Only did it for about 3 seconds. I was able to make it home. 3 hours later, my daughter takes the car out to go down to Hannaford's to the grocery store. She makes it about 1.25 miles away from the house. Car dies on her completely. So luckily, she wasn't too far away. She calls me. I go rescue her. I go in the truck. And before I gave her the truck, I jumped in the car and started it. It started. Awesome. I said, take the truck. I'm out of here. And what I was trying to do is I wanted to get the car back home because I didn't want it sitting out on the street to get picked up. And good thing I didn't do that because it didn't get picked up until 20 hours later. Actually, 22 hours later. And I was able to get back to within 500 feet of our driveway, and it died on me. And then I waited for 3 seconds, turned the key. It started back up. I was able to then get to the cul-de-sac, turn it around, point it so that the tow truck, could back right up to it. When the people at the shop looked at it, and I told them all the symptoms, they said, oh, it's probably the fuel control module. So it's some little computer in the Volvo that controls the fuel pump. And that's kind of stupid. I don't know. What do I know? It must be to do with all this pollution control crap. So they order a new one. And they put it in, and same problem. Well, after a couple of days, they diagnose it. Well, there's a wiring harness, and the wiring harness has a short in it. And the short um, burned out the second fuel control module. So then they order a new harness. They get the harness in, and then finally, yesterday, they have another car that the shop has that has the exact same fuel control module. So they pull it out of that car temporarily. It's the exact same part. They put it into the new harness. Car works perfectly. So what happened is the second control module got fried. And the new fuel control module was supposed to arrive late today, early tomorrow morning. And hopefully they're going to plug that thing in and the car is going to be perfect. As Kenny Chesney says in his hit song, only time will tell, but it ain't talking. Oh, well, they know what it is. It just, Sam says, I've had similar to the past. And yeah. Jimmy, how you doing? We're just about ready to be done here. Jimmy, did you hear the story about it's way up in the chat, or do you need me to tell you about the chocolate real quickly? Yes or no? I need to go I need to know before I go. Do you were you here early in the live stream to hear the chocolate saga? Yes or no? Tell me. Hurry. Oh, so here's my question. Have you already heard what happened with the chocolate bet? Yes or no? Have you already heard the story? Oh, you already heard it. Okay, good. All right, so you already know. Okay, good. Thank you. Yep, Alex won the bet, buddy. He got his chocolates this morning. He must be his house. He must be one of the first stops on the UPS driver's route, because he got the candy delivered to his house at 10:15 in the morning. I mean, I'm the exact opposite here where I live. I'm at the end of the route. I mean, typically we don't get our UPS deliveries until 5-6 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, Alex was really enjoying the chocolate, and I'm sure that well, it's still early there, man. It's not even 2:30 yet in LA, so he and his girlfriend are going to enjoy some chocolate tonight, I imagine. I can't wait to see what she thinks about it. And yeah, it was a good. That was a nice friendly bet. That was a great friendly bet. I enjoy making those. So yeah, parachute drop. We're going to talk about that on the next Zoom call, which I'm hoping. I'm hoping it's going to be a week from this Saturday. So I don't know yet. So if you want to be in on the Zoom call, you have to email me. You have to go to the Ask Tim page on my website. Ask Tim. Just find it in the navigation, and you have to put in your real name, and you have to put in your real email address, and in the area where you type a question, just say, "Hey, I'm on your live stream. I want to be part of the parachute drop, or I want to be on the Zoom call." So you got to put that in. Otherwise, then I'll add you to my special list, who are the people who get the Zoom invite. And we might not do Zoom. We might use Google Meet instead. And Will and I tested that about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. Works really well. I am going to get out of here, and I got some things to do tomorrow. Parachute drop. They're a lot of fun. Very relaxed. No schedule. Sit around the pool, chit chat, umbrella drinks, golf, whatever. They're a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun. I am going to get out of here. I want to thank you for being here today. And if you've not already clicked the like button, please do. If you did like everything, remember, if you've not signed up for my newsletter at the website, you really should do it. It's I love doing the newsletter. It's a really relaxed format, and I already wrote the newsletter for this Sunday. I had to get it done early, and I took a photograph. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I took a photograph yesterday, right after a little bit after sunset, maybe an hour after sunset, And you need to see this photo. It's in the newsletter. Wait till you see this photo. So it's really simple. Just go to askthebuilder.com. Right on the homepage, there's a form. Put in your name, put in your email address. I don't share it. I don't sell it. I don't do any of that crap. And as soon as you hit the submit button or sign up button, then go back to your email and check it because my system sends you a confirmation email. That's important, because I want to make sure it's you, and you have to click a link inside that email to make it happen, to finish the process. If you don't click that link, you're not getting the newsletter. But wait till you see that photo. Oh man, it was a good photo. It was, I was at the right place at the right time. That's all I can tell you. All right, I'm out of here. Thanks for being here today. And I should be here tomorrow, same time. And I have a lot of fun doing the live streams, and it's all because of you, because you ask great questions. And that's what makes these things wonderful. Spread the word if you can. Spread the word about the live streams. Let's try to get more people here. Let's try to save a lot of people time and money. That's the whole purpose of the live stream. All right, Will, T, Goodall, Jimmy, Sam, Steve, everyone that's here today. The only person who wasn't here was Lorene, or she was not here. So anyway, I think she's out visiting people, visiting family. I'll be here tomorrow. Thanks for being here. I'm Tim Carter, and you have been watching Ask the Builder.